Okay. So before you can automate, you do need few things to remember and be able to know what they are and why we use it. Because if you don't, then you'll be able to write automated tasks, but you will be confused about explaining what you did, right? And also you may be confused about asking questions because a lot of the questions that you will have around maybe you got stuck, you want to write a new test, and if you're Googling and doing research, you don't know what to write. That means, do you want to say with Node.js, I want to do this, or do we want to do it with VS Code? Do we want to do it with Playwright? So there's three items that you need to be very, very clear about before we can jump into writing code. So now all three things that we're going to be using today to build out a framework. Okay, let me see. I think a few more people just trying to join. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure a few people that's supposed to join. Okay. To make sure that everybody's in here. Okay, so it's just one person's trying to join. Okay, good. So everybody's here. Okay. So just so you guys know about the homework, right? How did it go? And anybody here have any questions related to their grades? You know, I try to be as fair as possible because many, maybe we can go over the homework at the end. But those three homeworks were important, so that way you know exactly, you know, how to create test cases and know the fundamentals of testing before even doing automation. So who here can tell me why we even do automation, right? When we create automated tests, why do we do it?
Reducing the manual effort.
Okay. So if we are reducing the manual effort and we're automating, that doesn't mean that, you know, automation is the only thing that we need. If automation is there, it's reducing manual effort, but we still have to write the scenarios and test cases, right? And that's why the homework was very, very important before we even jumping into automation.
Yeah, I would say that we use automation for lowering the cost, improving the worker safety, making our life a lot easier than it can be as much as possible. Those are the things that we use the automation for.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. And one thing that I want to make sure that everybody realizes is that automation doesn't make you a QA engineer, right? If you want to be a QA engineer, let's say you know how to write automated tests, but you have no idea how to write test cases, you don't know what the test scenario is, you know, who's going to do those for you, right? You're missing few pieces from the STLC. Who's there to help you with those, you know? And they're not going to hire another person, especially nowadays. They want one person to do both, right? You come in, you do manual testing, and then you do automation. Today's class is going to be, and obviously like the homework part, you know, upcoming classes is going to be invitation only based on today's homework. So today you're going to get a homework and then the previous homeworks. So anybody, you know, missing the previous homework and then missing today's homework will not be invited because, you know, I don't want to be, you know, taking the time away from you. You could be spending the time with maybe something more productive if if you're not doing the homework. Because one of the reason is because when you're learning automated tests, practice is one thing that you have. If you're not practicing, you're not learning. Nobody can pour all the knowledge in your head and basically teach you automation. Even if I spend 2 to 3 hours daily to go over the automated test cases, if you're not practicing, you will not learn anything at all. So that's why it's very, very important. And upcoming homeworks, if you miss it without any information, there is a potential that you'll not get an invitation for the upcoming classes. So just keep that in mind, because I'm trying to be, I'm trying to make sure that anybody's that is here is actually learning and not just, jumping from one thing to the other. Now, when I say automation framework, that means that we're building something that will collectively do one thing, right? One thing is to automate test cases. Now, automating test cases, we don't just have a single tool. Obviously, commercial paid tool, maybe there is out there that can be used, which is a single tool. But in our case, we're trying to automate using open source tools, right? We're trying to put few pieces together. We're trying to put few items together to build one thing that will do test automation for us. Now, we have few things right here in our screen. Node.js, VS Code, and Playwright. Who here have some idea about those three?
Jay, I need help. My headphones are not working.
We can hear you though.
Help me.
All right, Evelina, you're not muted. Okay, I'll mute it for now. So let's see. What is Node.js, guys? All right, so Node.js is basically an open source, and it gives you a JavaScript runtime environment. That means you're able to execute your JavaScript. Okay, that means without the Node.js, you're not going to be able to write JavaScript, right? It's a package manager. It also have a lot of packages that we will be adding and using for our automation. The next one, what is VS Code?
Is it an open source where we use it for developing? Also, you could use Java on that one, right?
So VS Code is like an IDE. Now, who can tell me what IDE is?
I know the abbreviation, Integration Development Environment.
Integrated development environment.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you so you got your Node.js, now you're able to write JavaScript, right? Now you're able to use a lot of these libraries that Node.js offers. But then when you're writing your code, where do you write it? Do you write it on a notepad? Do you write it in Word document? Do you write it in, so you need a platform where you will write your code and it will give you some help, right? It will basically tell you as early as possible if you're making any mistakes. It also give you a lot of color coding, right? So if you wrote something that has no meaning, it will give you a different color. So you know that you wrote something that does not, it's not a code and you need to update it or you need to fix it. So what VS Code does, right? Visual Basic, what that does is basically help you to write your code more efficiently, right? It is nothing but a tool where we will be writing our code, right? So when you use, let's say when you're writing an essay, right? You could write your essay in a notepad and that should be fine. But then when you write your essay in Word document, you end up doing much better, right? And it's faster. And one of the reason why, or a few of the reason why, is because Word document can give you like spell checks and give you, indentations, recommendation, and all of that. It can give you some styling for your text, and which Notepad doesn't give you, right? So it's just like that, VS Code is an IDE where you'll be writing your code. Okay, last thing, which is Playwright, right? Because this is what we're going to be mainly focusing. What is Playwright? Okay, and for that, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let me close the whiteboard for now. Anybody have an idea? Did some research, maybe?
I think I have an idea.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a browser automation library, and it uses different programming languages,
Right.
such as
That's exactly
JavaScript.
right. That's exactly it, right? So let's go ahead and can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now to give you introduction and for the rest of the class, meaning automation focus is going to be in this document, which is playwright.dev. One of the reason why I choose to use direct source rather than making my own, maybe like a cheat sheet or making my own document, is because this document is always going to be up to date. Every 2 weeks or every month they have releases and they add new features. So I would not be able to keep up with their changes as they are actively making upgrades to the Playwright. So it's better to, even after getting a job, it's better to use their document rather than using another document from another website, for example. And on the Google, when you do research, when you search for Playwright help, you're not going to get up-to-date information because Playwright came from another tool. So Microsoft, okay, let me give you guys a little bit of history. So Playwright used to be called Puppeteer, okay? Okay, Puppeteer was, basically Playwright used to be Puppeteer, and it was so useful that Microsoft said, okay, this is open source, you know, we're gonna take this and we're gonna add a lot more helpful, you know, APIs and a lot more helpful, you know, methods that will help testers to automate. And but we're gonna make it also compatible with Puppeteer as well. So meaning, like, if you write the code for Puppeteer, it will also work here in Playwright. So essentially, what Playwright is just that somebody took, or Microsoft actually took Puppeteer, and they said that we're gonna just enhance it to make it, you know, very, very easy to use, and also, you know, much more friendly to somebody who doesn't know code, or somebody who's just getting started, right? So it's easier for anybody to just jump in and start writing automated tasks right away, compared to any other tools. So that's the history of Playwright. And what Playwright does is that it does browser manipulation. It is a library, right? Node.js library. That means if you have Node.js, you can actually pull this library without having to go into the website and downloading it. Okay, so now, and I'm going to show you guys this today. But that's why I needed you guys to understand these three things, where Node.js allows you to write, you know, JavaScript, as well as it is a package manager. So a lot of the packages or libraries Node.js have, you're able to use it for your automation test. And you're not limited to just using Playwright. There are many other libraries that are out there, which is useful. You're going to be able to use it because you have Node.js, so you're able to just go ahead and pull those libraries as you need. Okay. And then VS Code is just, again, a platform where we're going to be writing our tests. It's just a tool, and we're going to use a lot of plugins to help ourselves. It has a ChatGPT app also within VS Code to give you some, you know, code automatically and things like that. So you're not limited to just download VS Code and done. You can also use the plugins that VS Code has to make your life much more better in terms of writing automated tests. So just to clarify, I'm going to ask you guys a few questions here because I want to make sure that everybody understands all three, right? This one allows you to write code, but also it has a lot of libraries, which is a package. Think about package manager, you know, that allows you to keep adding new and new, you know, useful tools directly from the packages, directly from the source that Node.js have. And this one allows you to write your code more efficiently. And then Playwright is just browser manipulation. So essentially, what is automation? When we automate browser-based test cases, we are basically controlling the browser. Okay, you're not going and doing some crazy matrix or hacking or anything like that. What you are doing, you're basically telling browser what to do. You're saying, browser, go to, let's say, something, right? Go to this URL, right? Whatever, it could be Google, and it will go there, all right? And then you're saying, browser, now that you already in that URL, I need you to write something. Okay, so you can say fill in, right? I need you to fill up some information somewhere, maybe in the search box. So you can say, you know, in the search box, you want to fill up something, right? So you would be able to provide the locator. Actually, you have to provide where you want to search, right? Where you want to put that information. So you can say locator, first you locate, it could be search box, right? And then you can say fill, right? And then you're filling the information, right? For example, anything, right? If you want to fill out. So essentially, when you say automation, you need to understand is that you're just leveraging Playwright. You're just using Playwright to control the browser, and the browser is under your control. And now you can say whatever, and the browser will do it for you. So the interesting question is that if, let's say, you're using JavaScript, okay, for automation, but then the application that you are testing, right, the developer who created the application which you are automating was created using Python, for example, which is another language. Can you automate it using JavaScript? Who's here to answer it? And give me a reasonable answer based on what we just discussed rather than yes or no.
I don't think you'd be able to because JavaScript and Python are two different languages.
Okay, but remember, you're controlling the browser. Okay, okay, I'm on more people to give their thoughts.
I think that you can, because you just mentioned that you can use Playwright to control the browser. So even if it was in Python, you would be able to control it and do it, I think.
Okay, anybody else before we move on?
I'm not exactly sure, but I did hear that Playwright can be used with a lot of different browsers. So knowing that, I wouldn't be surprised if you're able to somehow use different languages at the same time.
Okay, so but why does it matter if the application is built with Python or Java or JavaScript or TypeScript or C#, right? Why does it matter? Because at the end of the day, no matter what language they use, they still have to serve it on the browser, right? So that way that people can use the application. So if the people are able to use the application, if a human can access the browser, right? Okay, let's just make it more simpler. If a human can use the application through a browser, right? And then you learn that Playwright can control browsers, can you automate it? Regardless of what languages it built with.
Yes.
There you go, you quickly changed your mind. So yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because I just want you guys to understand this, so that way you know in the interview you're able to, you know, answer this kind of questions. It doesn't matter what the application is built with, because at the end of the day, for developers to allow users to use the application through the browser, they have to produce 3 different files, okay? So in order to make it browser-based application, like web application, no matter what language they use, at the end of the day, it has to output publicly, right? To the public, three files. One is going to be HTML, 2 is going to be JavaScript, and 3 is going to be CSS, okay? Now, these 3 files, regardless of what people use, what the developer is using, if it's a web-based application, it's always going to be producing these 3 files. Otherwise, you know, Chrome is not going to be able to serve, right? Or Firefox is not going to be able to, you know, allow users to use the application and all of that. So regardless of what technology they're using, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's always going to output this, right? These 3 files. Now this, you can see the comment JavaScript and JavaScript. That's not the reason why we can use JavaScript, right? We can even use another language, right? We can use TypeScript, or we can use another language like C#, okay? And they're not even related, and to automate, okay? And it shouldn't be a problem, right? Because again, we're just controlling browsers and that's it. We don't care about the application at the end of the day, right? So if somebody tells you like, oh, we have, we're using Python, but we need somebody with Python experiences, and the reason why they need somebody with Python experience is because they want you to use Python to automate. And the reason is because the whole team is using Python. So it makes no sense somebody coming in and just using another language. Because what if you get stuck, right? Nobody's going to be there to help you. So that's the reason. It's not technical reason. It's not because, oh, no, it's not possible. It has to be the same exact language. So just keep that in mind. All we're doing is controlling the browser. Now, if you're controlling the browser, and that brings up a good point, is because your application is built for the users. So suppose this is the application and it's built for the users, and you test it without the browser because you just want to quickly test, you just want to automate it, and you don't need to, automation doesn't need really the browser if you don't want to. You didn't mimic the user's actions. That means your test is no longer valid because the application is built for a human and you test it for robots. Okay. So that's why it's very important for us to automate and mimic human. Okay. And Playwright allows us to mimic the human. That means if you want to click on this link, it will click on this link just as if it was a human. They can go on the back side and click also, but that's not the point. We don't want to do that, right? We can actually, so we have access to HTML right here. We can build test cases. Sorry, we can build code that will just not even go through the front end. It will go ahead and click the link regardless and go to the link. But that's not helping, right? Because what if the user cannot even access this link? Because you decided to just go ahead and automate for the robots, right? So that's why it's very important. Now, just like Playwright, there are other tools out there, and Playwright is being one of the top, very one of the modern and very, very useful tool. And if you have Playwright experience on your resume, you should be like getting a job like real fast. And the reason is because everybody's moving away from other tools like Selenium, even Cypress, people are not liking as much as Playwright nowadays. And it's because it's just so much easier for you to automate, and you don't have to, spend numbers of hours just to, write a few test cases. You could write it very quickly. All right. So now that all three, is there any question for these three before we go ahead and, go ahead and start to write some code, Everybody here understands. So if I ask you a question, you will be able to. Okay, that's good. Let's ask questions. All right. So let's start with Fabio. I need you to, in 2 to 3 sentences, I need you to explain every single one of them, like Node.js, what it is, VS Code, Playwright, and JavaScript.
All right. Node.js is the language of is supposed to whatchamacallit. It is the
Like a manager.
like a manager is basically JavaScript. It helps you to write code. It's like a library. Okay. VS Code is VS Code is to write the code. To write the code in the browser.
Okay.
And Playwright is to check the browser. It's to controlling the browser.
Okay.
That was not sentences. My bad.
Okay, no worries. You got maybe 40% correct. Who else here paid attention? Okay, Shazad, do you want to explain just few words? You don't have to go very detailed. Node.js, VS Code, Playwright, JavaScript. What they are.
So I would say the Node.js is like an open source. It's like a document. It's like a platform where we can write the script or the programming language, and the VS Code is another platform that helps to integrate the total programming language. And Playwright is basically giving us the power to control the browser. So you're controlling the browser through the Playwright. And JavaScript is the language where we can write the comment and everything.
Okay, so JavaScript is the language. It's actually something that we use to, tell the browser what to do. Obviously, Playwright is controlling the browser, but JavaScript is still needed if you want to create logics, if you want to, like say, I want to do this, if that happens, right? So you still have to use the programming language to with the Playwright, and Playwright supports not just JavaScript, it just supports other languages. So let's go back right here. It supports these 4 languages currently.
So I have a question here, Driver. So in Playwright, it's the automation tool basically, right? So in that Playwright automation tool, we can write any programming language to create test scripts like Python or Java, JavaScripts.
So, okay. So this is the 4 we have. Node.js is for JavaScript. Okay. Python is for Python language. Oh, sorry. Node.js is for TypeScript and JavaScript. Okay. You have Python for Python, Java, and then you have C#.NET. Okay. These are the 4 supported languages. That means you can choose. So if your developers are using .NET C#, and you just join the team, you're going to be automating using .NET C#. You're not going to ask them question, can I do it in JavaScript? Because it makes no sense, right? Everybody's using .NET, so they might just keep pushing you to .NET. But if you're able to explain to say that, hey, I really, really like JavaScript, and I'm the only one who's writing automated tests, can I use JavaScript? And they give you an okay, then it's fine. But typically in a team, depending on what the developers are using, that's the language we use to automate. So that way you can actually get help if you get stuck. So these are the 4 supported languages, right? So you can, if somebody says, oh, what is Playwright? Okay, Playwright basically allows you to automate browser-based application. Okay. So what language do you use? Okay, I'm currently using JavaScript, but it supports many more, right? Like TypeScript, Python, Java, and .NET. So these are some of the languages that you can use. All right, so let's look at the installation process. Now, the number 1 thing, you being a tester, is that you have to be reading and be able to follow instructions. So I'll be doing that right now for you guys, but then later for the homework, you will be doing that yourself. So just keep in mind, this is something is public, so it's not that you're not going to get access to this document, right? You will have access at all times. Now let's read and let's go from there, from the very beginning. Let's read it from what their instruction is. So Playwright test was created specifically to accommodate the needs of end-to-end testing. Okay, so now we had a question for homework, end-to-end testing. Who can tell me that before we go into the next sentence?
End-to-end testing is basically software from the beginning to end, make sure the software application is working in all scenarios.
Yeah, okay, so give me 1 test case for Amazon that'll be considered as end-to-end test.
Like if you started from the beginning, if you click on the login button on the Amazon, you give your email address and you give your password and make sure the email.
You don't have to go detailed. Just tell me in high level what would be considered as end-to-end test for Amazon, because you use Amazon.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on with another person.
May I answer?
Yeah, go for it.
One test case would be like searching for a product.
Searching for a product is part of the end-to-end, right? It doesn't complete the entire transaction, right? Does it?
True, yeah, it'd be like searching for a product and then buying the product.
That's it. What happened after buying?
Making sure that it like gets delivered and
Tracking.
Yeah.
What happened after tracking? Oh, sorry, what happened after you received?
Making sure that it notified you that they dropped it off, I mean.
Okay, what happened after that? Don't you write reviews?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't really write reviews when I buy things.
Okay,
My
okay,
bad.
let's say you had a bad experience, then what happened after that? You return it. What happened after returning? You get refund.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just one end-to-end, like if you had a bad experience. So end-to-end test is basically from the very beginning to all the way to the end of the transaction. So the single transaction that will be considered from the beginning to all the way to the end to make sure whether it's a successful transaction or if the transaction had, a situation like this one, for example, customer having a bad experience and what happened? Were they able to return the items or not? But end-to-end test is basically from the user perspective, logging in and then doing everything they do in order to complete the entire transaction for pretty much the whole life of the transaction.
So like, for example,
mhm.
setting up an appointment and then making sure that the confirmation was received, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
And then what happened once the appointment is done, like for example, let's say,
Like confirmation of the appointment was received and the client had the appointment done, for example.
Right. So yeah, so like for example, you had the appointment, you got the confirmation, which is good. You finished the appointment, and then you get an email saying thank you, this and that. Right, that was the closing of the whole transaction, and you want to check that as well.
Thank you.
All right, so that's good. So now you know that Playwright was created for end-to-end testing, but it doesn't really mean, okay, I cannot write my individual test. You can still write it, but at least if it is capable of doing end-to-end testing, then it is capable of doing, your negatives and positives and scenario-based test cases as well. Playwright supports all modern rendering engine, including Chromium, WebKit, and Firefox. Okay, tests on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So not only that it supports all of these browsers. So for example, Chromium, for example, WebKit. WebKit actually is the engine behind Edge and Safari and Chromium. Okay, so that means if you're testing your application under WebKit, that means you also tested Edge and Safari. Okay, but not only that, you're able to emulate, Android and mobile Safari as well if you need to. So you are able to say, okay, the user is coming from a mobile device like Android, or so you're able to emulate those also natively, which is something that Selenium can't do. Then you're able to automate in Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. And you can run it locally, which we're going to do today. And CI, we're going to do it some other day because it's just going to be too much for you. You're going to be able to run it headless and headed, right? So when you run your test, not only that, okay, first of all, what is headed and headless? Headed means you want to see the browser where it's running. Okay, that's headed. Headless is that you don't care about seeing it because you already wrote the test and it's running fine. You already tested it, everything was good. So there is no need for you to see the browser. But the only time you're going to see it if test fails and it gives you a screenshot. Okay, so it supports both. Okay, so headed and headless, remember, you guys have to remember those two. And then running the test in CI, which we'll cover, but locally, meaning like you can run it on the machine that you will be writing the test, which is your current machine, your Windows or your Mac. And we're not going to do mobile emulation just yet, right? We just have to get through first writing on the web. These are some of these topics. Hopefully we're going to go through all of these. So first, installation. The second is running an example test. The third one is creating a report. And then we're going to be then creating a test ourselves, running that test. We're going to be basically then maybe add a few more Node.js based libraries to help us writing more tests. With that said, any question before we dive in on the installation part? Okay, good. If you don't, then we're gonna start. For Windows users, I'm gonna tell you how to get yourself all of these setups. But first, let me go into the Mac, because the Windows and Mac, you're not gonna see much of a difference if we use the instead of using PowerShell, instead of using CMD, if we use Git Bash. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that on the VS Code itself. So remember these three. First thing first, download Node.js. So all you have to do, download Node.js. If you come in here, and there should not be any struggle. There should not be any struggle because it has installers now. Okay, so you shouldn't be like having issues to say, what do I need and things like that, all of these different variations. If you do the installer, it will make a decision for you. It will probably give you choices, in terms of installing the right version of Node.js. Once you have it, I would recommend a restart if you want, but you don't really need it. So that's the first thing. Anybody need help installing this? It's very, very, very easy. Look, I'm going to click on it. I'm a Mac user. I'll go ahead and click on it. And the next thing it should do, okay, it should bring you this and install done. Okay, that's how fast it is. Okay, even though I didn't need it, I will go ahead and remove that. So I already have it. Okay, that's one. Then we're going to go and download. Any question on the Node.js? Okay, if you're still struggling, then you go to your ChatGPT and say, walk me through how to install Node.js. And it will also do it for you. So just make sure, obviously, that's something you should probably just, do it like this on your own, because, at some point you want to be as technical as possible. The next one is that you're going to need VS Code. Okay, so if you go to VS Code, you got few, types. You want to look for this kind of logo, I would say. And then all you have to do is click, and then done is free. And this is how it's going to look like. So that's the two things. Any question installing VS Code? Because I already have it. I can download it for you guys to show you. Actually, I'll download it, So I'm going to click on that Mac Universal. I just want to make sure people are comfortable, because I had it already installed. So now if I go ahead and double click, the app is going to open. And if I click on open, done, right? Okay, obviously I don't want this it's already have some code. I'm going to remove that so we can have a feeling like it's brand new. Okay, I will open a brand new. There we go. This is how the brand new should look like. Just like that. This is the screen you should see. It should say open and this and that, right? So we're gonna keep that to the side for a second. Or we can actually use it. So this is actually good for the Windows users as well. So the very next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna click on terminal, okay? And then click on new terminal. Okay, once you click on new terminal, you're right here, for example. And make sure you'll check which one you're using. For Windows users, it should be, you have three options. So explore all three. I would say there is one for Bash. Choose the Bash one. So you're able to change this. Okay. So now here, I'm just going to double check that I have the right version of Node. I just want to make sure that I have the Node before I proceed. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to write is that Node Okay, just the word node. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and enter, and it says, look, welcome to Node.js v25's 20.5.0. Okay, I'm gonna get out of it. Like whenever you see something like this, that means you went into writing some stuff for Node. So I'm gonna get out of it by clicking Control C. Next bit is Control D. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So sometime when you make mistakes, so Control C didn't work for me, so Control D did. Okay. So just look at, always read the instruction. Okay. So so now that you know you have Node, now you're pretty much ready to go, right? You're ready to start to create your first framework. You're going to be building a test framework, and it will be as easy as 1, 2, 3. So now let's go ahead and go back to our documents, right? Which is Playwright installation, and let's look at the installation. It says, get started by installing Playwright using npm or yarn. Okay, so either one. For our case, because we have a Node, we're going to be using npm today. Okay, so just keep in mind, we're going to be using npm, not yarn, not pnpm, right? And these are other ways for us to download what we need. But if I use npm, this is the code. This is the command that I need. It's going to get the Playwright latest version. It's going to download it automatically. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So when we go ahead and execute this command, it's going to ask you a few questions. These are some questions that we have to answer in order for us to have the framework set up on our computer. Okay. The first question is, do you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript? You can choose, but I would say choose JavaScript so we can all be working together on this test that we'll be writing. Then the next one is, name your test folder. So for example, if you're writing end-to-end tests, then you will write E2E. Or if you're writing test cases for, let's say, a company like JetBlue, so you can say JetBlue, whatever, like main application. You can name it very, very relevant to your application. So the naming of this is really, really up to you. You can ask your manager if you need to, whatever it is, but naming should be coming based on your understanding of the application. Okay. Then you have add a GitHub action. So GitHub action, we're going to add it only if we are running our tests remotely, meaning we will trigger it from schedule based. Maybe we can run nightly basis, and GitHub will automatically run it for you. And that's something that I'm going to explain later. I don't want to get you guys too much into that today, as already these are getting more technical. And then lastly, we have to install Playwright browser. It's always going to be true. So, and that's it. It's just going to ask you the question. You're going to say, yes, it's already true. That means you might not even have to answer that. So let's go ahead and install that. And I'm going to copy. And so now that we're doing it, in here, we may just want to create a folder where we can actually do this. So right now, notice I'm not even into anything. So I'm going to go to my desktop and create a folder for this, so that way we can actually have everything in one place. So that's the first thing you gotta remember. Like if you don't have a folder, then everything will be everywhere. So I'm gonna name the folder related to the project. So if you're working in a company like JetBlue, you're gonna say JetBlue automated test, JetBlue, E2E test, whatever you want to say. If you're working for Delta Airlines, you can do the same thing, but naming should be again coming from you. At least you should probably be able to name it properly based on your project. So for us, I'm gonna say learn. Okay, learn automation. That's the name of our project right now. And I created an empty folder in my desktop. Okay, so now that I have empty folder in my desktop, I'm gonna click on open, okay, folder. Okay, I have to click on open folder. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the desktop and I'm gonna see, oh, look, learn automation. And we got the two things. This one is empty totally, just so you know. So we can start with the empty folder. And it's done. Okay, so it will basically now go ahead and open up that folder, and you still have the welcome, right? So let's go ahead and remove that welcome thing. And now you can see Learn Automation is that folder. We can actually now write a file if we need to, but why do you want to do it manually? Let's do it automation way, all right? So in this case, you're gonna now go back to terminal, still go back to terminal. Make sure you are under Learn Automation, which is the folder that you just chose. If you are not, you're able to move. Okay, so if you do ls, you can see, like, for example, you can go back and you can do ls. I can see everything on my desktop, right? So I can, if I want to go back to that folder, I can do cd text learn, basically LEA. So Learn Automation. Now I am inside of automation. Okay, so now I'm inside of automation folder. So that's something that is important before you do the next command. Make sure you're inside of Learn Automation folder. Now the question is, the Windows users, do we follow the same exact steps? The answer is yes. There's nothing different because you're using VS Code, and it is giving you the same exact terminal. So there is no difference in that. So just keep that in mind. That's why we're using VS Code to help us. So let's go back to our instruction. The next thing it says, let's go ahead and execute this code that will actually create you the framework, and you shouldn't be executing this over and over again. It should be the very first thing. That's it. And the next time you should be executing this is if you got another job somewhere else and you're doing the same thing, building a framework from scratch. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and paste. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and enter. And now if you have Node.js in your computer, you should be seeing to these questions. The first question is, do you use TypeScript or JavaScript? I'm gonna go ahead and use my arrow, and I'm gonna arrow down from my keyboard. I'm gonna then click enter. Then it says, where do you want to put your end-to-end test cases? Remember, it's an end-to-end automation tool, so it's automatically assuming you're doing end-to-end. We're gonna say, let's put it under a folder named test, which is a default name anyways. You can keep it default if you can't figure it out. If you don't want to write something that doesn't make sense, you're just shy, you don't want to ask questions, you can still go ahead and put it under test. Then it says add a GitHub action workflow. For today, we don't want to do that because obviously that's another class for CI/CD. So I'm gonna just say no, okay, which is N. And then it says install Playwright browsers. Okay, so you do need the browsers, right? And as you can see, these are the commands to install browsers. So if you ever have issues with browsers, you'll be rerunning this command only, not everything else. Okay, so in this case, it's already true. I can just say yes, and that's it. Okay, and now it's doing its thing. It's automatically installing everything that I need. And as you can see, you got a bunch of things under this folder. Okay, after the installation, okay, this is happy hacking, and all of that stuff. It's giving you some useful commands that you may want to remember. Okay, so I'm going to take this information, okay, and I'm going to put it into like a note. Okay, so here I'm going to just write a note for me. Okay, so I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to say readme.md as the file name, and then I can actually type all this in there. Obviously, for now, I'm just going to paste it, and then later, maybe we can make this format look so much better, right? Because at work, you will be creating the readme.md with a nice format. I'm going to paste it here, and this is just for us to know. Like, for example, how can you format it if I put like this? Look, it looks different, right? So you can actually format it. This will really, really make it look good. But anyways, what's in there? Some of the useful information. This is basically when you went and bought yourself a car, the dealer is telling you this is how you start and this is how you basically get going with your car, and that's it. From here on, what you're going to do with the car is really, really up to you. So the first command, npm playwright test, will run all of your tests, all of it. Okay, any test that is inside of this test folder, nothing else. Okay, then npx playwright test -- ui. If you would like to witness the test, This is for you to pick and choose what test to run. Okay, this is gonna help you, give you a UI interactive mode. That means power to you as a user. You get the power to do whatever you want if you would like. Okay, then if you would like to change browsers, okay, so in this case, if you're running it, you can actually change it by, instead of Chromium, you can say something else like Firefox, and it will run it on that browser. Okay, so this command is for you to make sure you are running on a specific browser. So now anything can be combined. Like for example, you want to run it on UI and you want to change the browser, you have to basically add that to here after that with the double dash. Okay, you just have to add a top of this, so that way you're able to do multiple things at one command. Now, most important ones, right? So you got this is for the example test. So if you want to run only example test, nothing else, you can see there is a test examples. So if you want to run a specific test, you can specify by this, okay, the folder name. Then you have the npm playwright test debug, and I'll explain what debug means. That means you're writing your test case are in pending mode. That means you're still writing the test case and you still writing code. Some code may work, some code may not work, but you want all the information so that way you can fix the code. So it will help you to pause and stop and see what's happening and then be able to update your code. So we're going to be doing a lot of debugging as we write tests. Then we have npx playwright code gen. This is just to help you create the test. Okay, so you're not writing any code yourself. Obviously, over time you should be getting enough knowledge of code so that way we can move forward with another framework that may be more code related. But the idea is that it will you will eventually learn code as you are writing test automation with this framework. Okay, so don't be don't be afraid that, oh, he didn't even teach JavaScript yet and we're writing automated tests. You don't need that right now, but like I said, hopefully you see enough code with your eyes when this code gen creates will give you the idea of code, and then we're gonna go and learn some JavaScript, so that way you can be more and more helpful on writing test automation. So this is like one suggestion, npx playwright test. That's just to run all of your test cases. It will run all of these. Okay. So I think fixed test. Let's go and see if it runs. Okay. So if I go ahead and do this npx, okay, playwright. Oh, by the way, setup is done. You're good. Everything is good to go. You don't have to do nothing else. Okay. So if I don't have to do anything else, let's see if I have any example tests. So as you can see, it will go to this browser and check for something and things like that. Okay, so this is the code that that we have for for two tests basically. So 1, 2. There is a 2 tests in here, and then maybe there are more tests inside of this folder. So if I run this, let's see what happens, and we go from there. There is a Chrome should be opening. Boom! Oh, look at that! It's 6 tests all pass, and it created a report. We're gonna open the report in a bit. But I just want to make you guys understand is, 1 second. Guys, give me 1 second. I just have to click. Guys, I just have to make a quick phone call, but what I need you to do, so far, I noticed that some of you guys might be lost, right? I need you to go back right here in playwright.dev, right? And just read what we did. We only did up to here, and we're about to move on, okay? We already have this information. So I just need you to read this instruction, get yourself a little bit familiar with, take maybe 2 minutes break. I will be back exactly at 8:05. Okay.
Can I say something before you go? Or it's on gone.
Yeah, you can ask me when I come back.
Okay.
For now, just go through the document.
Okay.
All right, I'd return a minute early. Okay, so one thing, guys, if you want to follow up to this much, I can give you guys 5 minutes and then address any issues if you guys have, because it shouldn't take more than 5 to 6 minutes. If anybody followed and got to this far, then you're already done. You have everything set up, so we can start writing some test cases. What was the question before I left?
So before I do that, so I want to make I want to clear myself. So for Visual Studio Code and Node.js, we need to download and install it. But for the Playwright, what we do, we just open the Visual Studio Code and write the comment in the
commands.
That's it.
Right. So let me ask you this question.
Right.
How come like everything else were installed automatically when you write the command, right? Is because Node.js, remember? Node.js is basically have libraries. If we are using Node.js, and if we are using Playwright, then we have to execute this command and pull it from the Node.js repository, right? So it's coming from somewhere. Node.js knows exactly where this should be coming from. We just need to provide the right name and the version we want, and it will automatically download it for us. Okay. So anything from, so the only thing you should be downloading is Node.js and VS Code, and that's it. And everything else should be downloading through commands, right? Now, from here on, we don't have to go to the browser and download anything. We can just download everything that we need directly from the terminal. Okay.
Okay, so one more thing. So I already downloaded before Node.js Visual Studio Code. So do I need to update or?
No. As long as you have the same exact, if it looks different, that means you might get something different, because there is a Visual Basic, I think, code, and which looks like a very different. So make sure you get the right one, because they both do the same. It's just different. You're not going to be able to follow me if you have different looks. All right, so that's good. So everybody here, no questions before we start writing a test, right? We good? Okay,
Joe,
let me do this. Let me do one thing, guys. I think it's better to be, finding out if everybody is good before moving forward and writing a test. So that way you don't end up get stuck on homework and things like that. Do you guys need 10 minutes to do this? And then in the meantime, if somebody needs, if you guys have questions, you can just ask me directly here. Or you guys don't have the proper laptop, whatever is the case. How many here can do this right now? Anybody here that cannot do it right now?
I can do it. I just need a few more minutes.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
Joe, I can do it right now, but when I'm doing it, it's telling me to update the Playwright.
Okay, do it. Yeah.
So I just go
like
to the website, right? And update the Playwright?
No, just follow what we did. Like because you're downloading the Playwright for the first time, so it makes no sense if it does update. Like if you opened your terminal on the VS Code, the only command that you should be executing is this, and then you should be answering these 4 questions. That's it. That's all there is. Nothing else.
All right, Joe.
Okay. Yeah. And okay, you can put a picture of whatever you're seeing on the WhatsApp group, so I can actually help you. Now, everybody else, 10 minutes should be good, right? Anybody here that cannot follow, because I'm going to be seeing everybody's screen.
This is command B.
yeah, Jewel, for the Windows, I'm on Windows right now. So
Okay.
I mean I can do it, but I'm just saying maybe some other people here are on Windows. So
yeah, it may look a little bit different, slightly different right here, the color coding, because it has to be, you see, like you're gonna see the icon right here. If you have like, PowerShell or whatever is the case, you want to change that to Bash. Okay. Once you change it to Bash, then you should be good to go. Okay, so show environment. If I click on this, I would be able to change.
Joel, I'm using Windows and I don't see the README folder.
No, README folder is something that I just created.
Oh,
So what I did, yeah, so I just created because I want to keep the note that it gave me in the very, because this is the last time you'll see this message, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to keep it for your knowledge, so that way you can, maybe some of these commands are going to be helpful later on when you write automated tests.
Okay.
So README you created yourself. This is basically when we write automated framework and automated tests, our responsibility is also training existing, engineers or existing QA in the team who doesn't know automation. For them, we create README and we make it as descriptive as possible. But this is also for people who just quickly want to, get started. Let's say, somebody got hired new and he already knows automation. Then he doesn't have to ask millions of questions to you. He can just read the README and still be able to set up. Okay, so we always create README file, and this is also created by developers when they create application. So any application you'll see on GitHub, you'll see it has a README somehow. Okay, maybe one step you guys missed. I think.
Just one question: is the README a folder or a file?
README is a file.
Okay.
You look, folder will not have extensions. You see, it doesn't have any dot something.
Okay.
Only file do. Okay. All right. Before I move on, guys, we're gonna be writing a new test right now. But anything else? You guys are all comfortable, very comfortable. Because I'm gonna show you guys a test, and then I might just start to
Joel,
ask you.
Joel,
Go
I
ahead.
sent you my screen in WhatsApp. Mine just doesn't look like yours on top.
No, that's fine. You have a welcome screen. You did everything, looks like. You ran the test, passed. The welcome screen, you can just remove. You just like something like this right here. You don't need the welcome screen anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I have a quick question. It's asking add a GitHub action workflow. Do I put why?
For this for this time, we're gonna say no, because we don't want to go into CI just yet. That's a different topic. GitHub is going to be another topic where we will do maybe completely fresh one later on. So for now, we can just say no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else with any struggle? Guys, remember this
I'm
is gonna
sorry.
be.
How are you? I'm so sorry. How are you getting your README screen?
Oh, so you just double click on it, and it should be popping up here.
I don't have that for some reason.
Oh, you create it. Yeah, you create the README. Just look at the file. There's a plus right here. You click on it and then just give it a name. README. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then you want to add all of these information that was given to you. Okay, so later on you can, so this is pretty useful, right? Like in whatever you're getting right here, it tells you how to run it, how to create the report. Whenever you create test automation and you're basically running your tests, your manager is going to be interested only in the report, okay, nothing else. You can't just show him the code, oh, this is what I did, and go through every single test cases. You say, okay, here's the report, everything passed, and they will go ahead and move on from there. Okay, the report is also very, very important.
I have a question. Let's say if you did mess up by installing the wrong language, how do you go back to zero? Can you delete everything and then do it again, or
just create a new folder and do everything all over again? That's it. Nothing else.
Okay,
You don't even have to delete. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
All right. Cool. Okay, guys. So now here's the shocking part, right? Because now from the next 2 minutes, you can actually call yourself a QA automation person, right? And for that to happen, hold on, somebody also send me Lahu is probably so update not necessary right now, I would say, right? If it does give you, I would say take it, if your Node.js is probably pretty old, that's why. Okay, so
Okay, so I just downloaded the Node.js, but it was the latest one.
okay, that's fine. It's not necessary to have everything up to date, right? It can be behind by, unless it's like from 10 years ago, then it's a problem, right? So 1 year behind is not a problem. Okay, so now let's create a test. Before we create a test, I want everybody to help me creating a test case. How do you create automated testing without creating a test case, right? So let's find a website first, and then let's create, a test case manually. And obviously you guys are gonna help me creating the test scenarios. Then we'll choose 1 or 2 test cases from there, and we're gonna automate it. Okay, one of the beauty of automation tester, being an automation tester, is that you may not have to do a lot of manual work. So you might be able to skip all the details and stuff that you're writing on the test case because you already automating it. So there's no need for that. The other beauty of that is that manual testers will create it for you, and they give you a list of test cases, and all you have to do is just automate it. And so it's pretty sweet as the automation person, because you'll be, 60% of the time you'll be just sitting in doing nothing and listening and helping, maybe your coworkers. But manual testers, they will be working 24/7 because, not 24/7, the whole full 8 hours, because they have to manually do everything and meet the deadline. For us, is we just click on a button and it runs it automatically. So notice like how when you ran the 6 tests, it was like, how many seconds? Like not even like 4 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever is the case. And what Playwright does is that Playwright also have built-in parallel tests. We can go back to the documents, so you can see a lot of documents here. So Playwright supports parallel execution. That means you can run your tests in 10 different machines at the same time, and it will probably, take less time to run it. If you have 2 days worth of tests in series, you can bring it down to 2 hours because Playwright allows you to parallel, running the test cases. So there is a lot more information that we have to go through. We hopefully by the end of 3 months, we're going to go through every single one of them. Today's topic is all of these to set up, and the next one is writing more test cases. But I'm going to have to touch this anyway, and then we're going to go into more of these useful topics, which will help you become an automation engineer. And then we'll also talk about covering some programming. Okay, so now that you guys have this, right? Anybody here that tried and didn't work before I move on, guys? Everybody here telling me that you did the setup and everything's good. So I'm gonna start calling names.
Mine, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mine looks a little different than yours. Would I be able to
But do you have this? Like, do you see where it says like pass when you ran the test? It's pass.
Mine says, 1 second. No.
Okay. Can you put a screenshot?
Sure.
Okay, so in the meantime, let's create some test cases. I'm gonna find a website where we don't end up disrupting their, like if I do Amazon or something, and they will probably block, your browser for temporary purpose, because you're using automation. Like for example, Facebook will give you warning if you try to use this tool, because they don't want people to just use automation for bots and stuff like that. Now, let's find a website that we can automate first. So I'm gonna say maybe like demo insurance website or something like this. We usually use like this website right here for the purpose of learning, because we're not costing them money by visiting this. Whenever you visit a website, it costs the company money because you're using their servers, and server costs money to rent, right? So essentially you're causing them money. So in this case, let's say somebody, okay. Let's go ahead and create a test case. Let's say this is a landing website. Everybody have, sorry, not, it's a landing page of the website, okay? Now, if they said, okay, your first test case is to test the landing page, okay? What kind of test case would you write? Give me like in like, details. Like what would you check here to make sure everything is working properly, this landing page?
The contact us functionality or the get started.
That's it. And that's all there
Links.
is in the. Okay. So you want to check every single link here. There's a lot of links. Okay. So then you have all this stuff right here. But if you were to, let's say, let's just for the purpose of automation, right? Obviously, you guys already know the
Request a
scenarios
quote,
and all that
maybe.
stuff. Yeah. So let's say you click on request a code, which brings you all this, you can have auto and all of that stuff. So your task case is just to say, click on request a code and it should bring you to this page, and that's it. Like a very simple task we can automate. We can even go complex. Okay, we click on request a code, we go to the auto insurance, we fill out this information, we click on continue, and we finish the whole entire end-to-end. How's that? Sounds good?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna give you guys commands. Remember, the commands is right here. It says auto-generated code. Okay, so I'm gonna write this code here, npx. Okay, by the next class, you guys should be like, very fluent about this commands, because you're gonna be using it. Your practice at home needs to be done at least bare minimum 6 hours before the next class. Okay, so I'm gonna say Playwright, npx Playwright code gen. Okay, if I do that, it will open a blank browser. But what if I want, like not the blank browser, I wanted to open a browser, but then I want also the website that I'm actually testing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this link, and I'm just gonna paste it next to it, code gen, right? So that's one way for you to make sure it opens the browser also at the same time. Or you can just do it yourself, right? You can do it manually, but so whenever you use code gen, I need you to understand one thing, is that no matter what you do, whatever you do on a browser, okay, it's listening. The Playwright is listening. So this is the browser. You see it opened up incognito, and it's listening. That means, as you can see, it actually does exactly what you type in there. Okay. So now, no matter what you do, it's listening and all that. This is actually a production version of it. We don't want to go into production. So I'm going to go and change the, I'm going to go back to the actual. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to change the link because this is not where I'm supposed to be. And I just also want to note that these two lines we're going to remove. Okay, these two already recorded. It went to the actual website. We just want their demo website. Okay, so this is the demo. I'm gonna click OK, and now it recorded. You see this one. So we'll just keep in mind these two. We're gonna remove it. Okay, at the end. So it went there. Okay. Now that it went there, we wanna go ahead and verify something. Like, we don't want to just go there and be like done. Any automation tester, right? When you do any action, you want to first make sure you're on the right page, you're on the right website, whatever is the case. So we just visited this website. We want to make sure we're in the right application. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this I. Everybody see this I right here? This I is for something, and then this ABC is for something, okay? When you see the AB, that is for text validation. That means you're verifying any text on the page. Okay, so you will click on AB for now to make sure that you see this text. If you see this text, that means you're on the right application, right? That's the first thing we're going to do as an automation person. And this is not something that this does not have to be on the test case, but we have to put that verification, because what if I'm on like some random website and trying to do something else, right? So we want to make sure we're on the right page. So I'm going to go ahead and click on AB first. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the text. Okay. Once I select the text, let's see what happened here. You can see you just clicked on it, but this is not what we want. We want to put a Okay, there we go. So now it says assert that element contains text. So it's saying, do you want to put a assertion to verify if this text exists? I'm going to say yes. Okay. So now we can see two different line was added. The first line is to just click on it, and the second line is to verify. We're gonna probably remove this line number 7. So keep in mind, line number 7 and line number 5 and 4 we're gonna remove because those are unnecessary clicks. We just clicked it because we were rushing, we didn't know better, whatever is the case. But we visited and then we verified that we're on the right page by line number 8. So keep that in mind. Now, the next thing we want to do is that we want to click on request a code, right? So you can do one thing before you even click on it. You can verify that it's actually exists. This will save you some time when you debug or when you have any bug, right? So what if the request a code is not there? Then it will give you the exact reason why the test failed. So that's why we're gonna say we're gonna go ahead and put an assertion. So I'm gonna click on the I, and I'm gonna say right here, okay, boom, and now it added saying that it should be a link and it should be this request a code, okay? So it's saying it should be true. It should be finding on the page. It should be on the page basically. So notice like it added already, okay? So now that we added it, I'm gonna get out of the I. Obviously, it automatically I is no longer highlighted, so I'm gonna go ahead and click the link, okay, as a user. I click the link and it goes to the link, okay? So notice the line was added. It basically clicked on the link for me, okay? Just one second, I just need some water. So far, any questions?
If you don't mind, can you repeat once more?
I'll write another test. How's that? Because going back, we're never gonna reach the end, right? So we only have 2 hours. Now, so basically we click the link. The next thing we discussed that we're gonna click on auto insurance and go through the whole process. So now if I'm on this page, remember one thing that I said, whenever we're in a new page, we want to validate that we're on that page. Okay, so if this page has a title, for example, free no obligation code forms, I'm going to verify that. I'm going to click on this guy right there, make sure it's blue, and then I'm going to click on this, and it says, do you want to assert? Assert means verify. Like assert means that you want to validate something, okay? Just keep that in mind. You are verifying something. So it says, assert the element contains text free no obligation code form. I'm going to go ahead and click on this check mark, and I'll just go back and see, wow, okay, it added this H1 should have this text, the heading one basically, okay, of the web page. Now that it already verified we're on the right page, and why we did that is because this is the new page after clicking on the code, right? So I just verified that we're on that page. Now I will go ahead and verify that this link exists, and I'm going to click on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the I, and I'm going to go ahead and say auto link should exist. Notice that it added the expectation, so expect right here that it should be there. And once we validated that the auto insurance link is there, we can now click. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Make a single click. It already clicked, and it basically added the text for you. Okay, added the code for you. Now that we're here, now we're on a new page. What should we do before we do anything else? Verify. Just paying attention. Verify you're on the new page. Verify that you're on the page, the right page. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on AB, and then I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this text, and you can see it says verify this text. Go ahead and edit. So we just verify that we can actually see this text. The next thing is I'm gonna go ahead and start typing information. Okay, so the first name, okay, John. The last name is Doe. Email, John Doe. And you just have to be careful. You can't just start typing and clicking everywhere. Okay, you just have to make sure you only do what you need. Okay, so gmail.com. Just put some random email. Okay, phone number, I'll just put some random 646-888-9999. Good to go. And I'm clicking on the zip code. we'll go ahead and put the random 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. And then agent, I don't care about that. I'll click on continue to second step. Okay, we're on the step number 1 is done, and we're basically on the second page. As you can see all this, now I can verify this information, like John should exist, Doe should exist, John Doe email should exist because it pre-filled from the last page. So we can actually validate the pre-filling form is working when a user enters information on the step 1. Step 2 just retain those information, otherwise it's going to be painful for the users, right? We can actually do that. So on this page, I'm going to go ahead and verify that I'm on the right page first. I'm going to go ahead and click on the text verification. I'll click on that. I'll choose the text and done. Now, I can probably also verify this also, like maybe step 1 to 4, that will validate that I went to the next page. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and click OK. And done, right? Just to make sure that we're getting it, I'm gonna end the test here. Let's just say we're just making sure that customer can enter information, or sorry, agent can enter information and go to the second page rather than having errors or whatever is the case. And we're gonna end the test case here. And we're gonna copy our test from here before we end it. So I'll copy the whole test, copy it, and I'm gonna take it back to my code. So now all my tests supposed to be inside of test folder. Notice if I open this is how the test looks like. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new file because this test is new. I just created. So I'm going to, inside of this folder, I'm going to then click on the file. I'm going to just now name it appropriately. Okay. The name has to be ending with .spec.js. So I'm going to say insurance. Okay. Agent, maybe center. All right. Because that's the center.spec.js. Okay, you have it. I'm going to go ahead and paste this. We have the entire test, and you can actually divide it, make it multiple tests. So one thing that I mentioned is we need to remove a few things. The first two, remember, we talked about it, so don't, I'm not tricking anybody. We remove those two, and then we also had a click somewhere that we have to remove.
Line 7, I think.
Line number 6, no? We just verify your independent. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. Okay, that's it. These are the two that we have to remove, and then we can actually remove some of these clicks because in order for us to fill out, we don't need to click. Okay. Now you have your test. What does this test do? Because we need a title for the test. You cannot possibly simply just leave it like this, right? This is the title. This is where the title is. So you need to give it a nice title. So when you create the test report, it explains what the test did. So what could be your test title for this? Basically,
Request
test
a code.
scenario. What is the scenario name?
Request a code through auto insurance.
Okay, I need a little bit more better one. Anybody else?
I'm so sorry. Can we go back for a second? So once I did all these expects and pages, right? How do I get out of the screen and go back to where you were?
So I left it like this, right? So you just copy it and you just go back to your VS Code. Don't have it full screen so you can move forward. We'll probably close this too because we just recorded the test. We're done. But if we write another test case, I can just keep it on and just continue to write more test case. Now I'll just
So I need
just
to
for
I
the
need to
time.
record this test?
No, but did you do the recording? You did all this, right?
I followed you, but then do I need to click record
Okay.
on the Playwright Inspector?
Let's do. I'll give you guys 5 or 10 minutes and at the end. So like once we make sure that this is runs, so that way you know exactly what we need to make changes to. Once you have the understanding, we'll give you 5 10 minutes. Everybody's gonna write their test and we're gonna check. So at least you guys can ask me question if you get stuck. But for now, let me just finish explaining so that way we can you guys can actually do it on your own. Now, we remove some of these things. What I was saying is that a test case should have a good name, right? So think about test scenario that you guys wrote 3 days ago.
Would this be user registration for for the quote?
How in what angles user is registering? you need to go back to the website. If you're in this website and you clicked on request a code, and then you chose auto insurance and you just fill out the first page, went to the second page, what could be the title of this test? Why is it so hard, guys? Come on. Just naming a title, just coming up with the name of your test. That's it. That's all I want for you to do. It says should be a single line. It cannot be like a paragraph.
Is it
Right.
auto insurance quote request form?
But then you're not saying the purpose, right? If that is the case,
Oh,
then all the tasks belonging to this page will have the same name. Don't you think?
so
User
could it be
info.
a test?
Say it again.
Oh, I was gonna say auto insurance quote test.
Okay, but that's not the entire code, right? We just did the first page.
How about like inputting customer information? No, no.
Okay, how about we start with something like this? Okay, I'm gonna help you a little bit here. Verify. So because you are verifying, right, with your test, because all this expectation is the verification, right? You're saying verify if, right? Who's using this application? Agents, not customers. Okay,
User.
agents are logging in. User is the agent. Okay, insurance agents are the actual user of this application. Okay, so we can say verify if agent
user.
can click on request a code and at least finish the first page. Okay, for auto insurance. Okay, so again, everybody has a different way of naming it. Maybe some of you guys will be better than me coming up with a name, but it has to be very relevant to what you're doing, right? So does this make sense? It's basically one-liner to explain exactly what you're doing and where, right? What are you verifying? A test is to verify something, right? So you cannot just say, okay, just requesting a code. No, you can put the word verify in the beginning so it looks even more like test. Okay, a test cannot be a test if you don't have expectation, right? Meaning like if I run the test without this expectation, the test will pass regardless. It will pass indefinitely. It will never fail because there is no expectation. Okay, so you always have to have expectation. So now that we have this, I'm gonna go back to the, we have a nice name for the test, which is good. I'm gonna go to the example one because it's when you are at work, one of the biggest assets that you have is to make sure that you're always looking back and see what is the current test looks like. Okay, if your current test does not, like your test should match with whatever the the test that they have, existing tests, right? Otherwise, even if you did right, they're not gonna like it. It has to match it. It has to make sure that you're following the proper standard what they follow. So if I go back to this example test and I can see, okay, fine, they have this structure, I can see, and that's it. That's all that I'm following. My test is a little bit bigger because I have way more steps. That's it. All right. If I write a second test, I can just copy this and I can basically change the information inside as well as changing the name of the test, right? So this is your very first test, guys. Let's run it to make sure that it works. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the code gen for a second. You can literally click on this trash and it will remove everything from the terminal and you can have a brand new terminal, or you can do Control-C and it will kill your code gen. So because you don't need it anymore, you already got the test. So for you to run individual test, you remember we put everything on README. If I want to run individual tests, I can basically do it like this. But for this situation, I want to run it with UI so we can see what we're running. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the UI mode. Okay, I don't want to see like I want to see the browser. I want to see exactly what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Notice the command right here for start the interactive UI mode. So I'm going to start that so I can see my test. I'm going to go ahead and enter and let's see. It opened up and looks like we have numbers of tests. These are the example tests and this is the one that we just wrote. Okay, So let's say you want to run it. All you have to do is click on here and see what just happens. Is going, okay, and it's doing all this stuff that you set out to do. And the nice thing is actually showing you code, so you can actually pause it in a specific location and to see what really happened. You see, like you can see what happened exactly step by step, okay? All right, and the test passed, even though we have all this long length looking test case. So far, have I wrote any code?
No.
Mhm.
Can you do this right now if I ask you to?
Yes.
You try.
Yes.
Is this the one
You guys
with
have to
oh my bad.
be like better than trying because you're in a boot camp, number one, right? So this is 3 months because we doing boot camp. And number two is that you got to be better than an ordinary Joe. You got to be better than somebody who's sitting on their bed and just using Facebook for a computer. That's it, right? Nothing else. And you have to be a little bit better, meaning like you don't want to run to maybe like your coworker for help. You want to find out. There is Google, there's ChatGPT, there's whatever is the case, right? And there's this document that I just gave you access to. Playwright has this document, which is very, very nice and easy to understand. So you need to use those resources rather than getting help from people. One of the easiest way to learn is that if you struggle. So when you are struggling, when you're having problems where you have a headache because you can't figure it out, that's good. That's a good thing. It's a good sign. That means you're trying and it's getting somewhere. But if you never have struggled, that means we have a problem, So just remember, if you don't have a struggle, you reach out to me because most likely you're not learning anything. Questions? What was the question, guys?
We're just stopping until the first page, or are we doing everything?
Okay, I'm gonna do one more test before I ask you guys. I'm gonna give you guys like 10 minutes to finish the test because there is no reason for you to not to finish the test in 10 minutes. Okay. And then I'm gonna ask you guys to start sharing your screen. Everybody's gonna get 30 seconds each to share your screen, show your test and everything. Okay. Any question about this test? You see, like I can actually see frame by frame what happened. Okay. Each time, like what happened with every single line of code. So it's very, very easy for me to even make any changes if I need to. Okay. So let's write one more test for the same website. I'm going to open up my code gen. Okay. So the way that we do it, I'm going to go ahead and kill the UI part of it. I don't need it right now. Control C and it's done. I'm going to like click on up arrow, right? Whenever you have commands in your terminal, you don't want to be typing that all the time, right? There should be an easy way. So the easiest way, the shortcut is that if you click on your up arrow from your keyboard, and there is a lot of keyboard shortcut, by the way, but if you click on your up arrow and you should be able to see what are some of the commands that you had in the past, okay? And it will continue to iterate and give you what you used before, okay? And then you just choose the right one and then click enter, okay? And so in this case, the code gen is the one. I'm going to remove this because this is not the link that we want. I'm going to put the right link before I start the test. Go back to home, insurance demo website. Copy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paste that link next to it. I'm going to click on enter. It will open up. And for me, it opens up in the other screen. I have two screens. So and that's how it looks like. You get two different things on your screen. One is inspector, so keep it to the side. And that's why you should be using dual monitor if you have two monitors. If you don't have two monitors, just squeeze this into the side because you want to see what's happening. And then this is your browser. So whatever you do here from now on is going to record, right? It's going to basically write a code for it. Whatever you do, it will write a code for it. And then later you'll be able to play it back. That means that's your test, okay? So now in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and write a new test. What I will do, I'll probably click on the contacts us link, and then I'm gonna fill out the form. That's it, okay? That could be one test. So before I do any test, what do we do? Remember, we wanna make sure we're on the right page. So various ways you can do it. You can click on the text assertion. You can click on the visibility assertions, whichever you like. You can do. You can even do your custom ones. You can do a new recording, whatever you want. But I will go ahead and click on a text assertion. So I just want to make sure that I'm verifying something. So you can see any text that is verifiable, meaning you're able to put assertions or any verifications, it will highlight. If it doesn't highlight, that means it's not a text. This is actually a picture. Okay. See, this is a text, this is a text, this is a text, but this is not a text. So I'm going to go ahead and put this time on this one, click OK. It says you're independent. This is what I want to go ahead and verify. So there you go. This is your verification. Okay. The difference between verification and actual step is that the verification will always contain the word expect because you're expecting. Okay. So just keep that in mind. For now, you just want to make sure that you get a little bit of idea of what's going on. Coding part will go deeper and deeper, and you'll probably get better and better as you practice. So now that we verified we're on the right page, I'm going to click on the Contact Us link. So I can choose where to click exactly. Okay, I can click here, I can click here, I can click here. But because we're testing Contact Us link, we should be clicking on exactly the Contact Us rather than clicking in all three. So I'm going to click on that. We're right here on the new page. So I just want to make sure that this is verified. So I'm going to click on the text assertions, and I'm going to verify that this information is there. And then I want to verify if this information is there. So I'm going to click on the text assertion. I'm going to go ahead and select all the text, and I'm going to go ahead and verify this company information is actually there. And then what else can I verify? I can verify anything here, right? So we get the idea. But I'll go ahead and verify one more verify, which is this, and then we're done. So I'm going to do AB, and I'm going to go ahead and again scope it up. This is going to verify everything, or you can do one at a time. Okay. So I'm going to go up, boom, and then all of these, click enter, and done. Our test is done. We got 3 verifications. I'm going to go ahead and copy my test, and I'm going to go ahead and then end the session with the code gen. And now I'm going to add my test. So we got the Agent Center spec. The next one is I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to say Agent Center, and then I'm going to say this is for Contact Us, right? Contact Us spec.js. Okay, so you got a name. Again, naming is one thing that you have to make sure that you're doing it justice. So for example, this test, what will you name this test? Okay, what is the name that you want to give to this test? First of all, is this a proper test? That's my question. Is this even a valid test? Is this a complete test?
No, it's not a complete test.
Sorry, say it again. Why you said no?
Because it doesn't have it's not an end-to-end testing, right? You're just verifying I don't know, what is it called? Few objects on the
Yeah, but think about this way. A customer comes or to the website. The only thing they want to do is contact somebody, right? Contact somebody from the company. They click on Contact Us and they land on the Contact Us page, and they get their information. They leave. Was that an end-to-end for that user?
Yes.
Yes, in that case, it would be. If they're only getting the contact information, then it would be end-to-end testing.
Right. But that brings a good question, right? That's why you have to be really, really good at manual testing, so you can write effective test cases on the automation side. Okay. If you can't even come up with any idea, like for example, oh, what is my user is going to do in here in this case? If you're testing something on the application, you can't even think about it because you're just, you can't even come up with any scenarios. Then we have a problem. Automation is not going to save your job. So that's why I will say, if you are that person who cannot come up with the scenarios, go back and learn how to create scenarios. There's techniques, that you can use to come up with scenarios, or YouTube it. There are so many videos on how to write test scenarios and make you better at it. But remember, a good tester, good automation tester means that person can come up with good test cases, automation is just helping, so that way you don't have to do this manually later. So now, like, think about it, right? How useful this is. When my managers ask me, hey, can you run all of the test cases that that we wrote? Sure. You run all of these test cases. You don't even have to think about it twice. You can just go ahead and come in here and run everything on different workers. So in this case, you can run, like, if you have 10,000 test cases, you can use like 100 worker. That means you divided your test cases into 100. Therefore, it will be 100 times faster than a person, or than, actually, it's almost like 1,000 times faster. But okay, we're at this point where we have a new test case, guys, right? All I ask is, give me a name for this test. It doesn't have to be like crazy, it has to be like solid name, whatever. It's your test. When you write a test case, test automation, you are naming it, okay? The only thing I ask is that when you name your test, you just have to be very, very direct what you're verifying and where, what exactly you're doing. That's what you need to put in one line, and that's it. So go ahead.
Can I put
If you guys,
contact information verification?
to verify that contract in
Information.
contacts us application, link, and the page works, right? User can click on contact us and visit contact us page, right? Something like that. Somebody raised hand. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't get the Playwright's inspector. I'm sorry. I know it's not as a specific answer for that you ask the question.
That's fine. Were you in the first 10 minutes or no? First 20 minutes of the class, were you here, or were you?
No, I was late for around close to 10 minutes. I think 10 to 15 minutes.
You missed a pretty good important part of this, because this is gonna, this is, like I said, that's why I explained to everybody to come on time today, because this is gonna put you so much behind. And like, some of you guys that are already probably coming up with ideas how to write test cases, automation, and things like that. But anyways, we got the video, so I'll give you the video. You can watch and you can do it, but make sure anybody missing this homework, I will tell you right now, it's not gonna be very good looking, because this is the first class, and this is where you're learning automation. I'm here to make sure that you're comfortable with test automation, and at least be very confident about test automation. So, and if I can sit down for 2 hours, 4 hours of in the week, and then but you cannot spend 4 hours in the week, then we don't have the same intention, right? So just keep that in mind. Homework is gonna be very, very critical if you want to continue here. Okay, so then we got the right name from you guys, right? And we can now go ahead and execute the test. Notice, like, this time we didn't change anything. We're not changing anything. Why? Why we're not changing anything? Because while recording, we didn't make any mistakes like last time. The first time we started clicking everywhere, and this time we didn't. We just be very, very careful about what we recorded, right? This test case is 100% complete. This test case, you can probably add more assertions if you want to, but if somebody, like, from your workplace, they see this, there is nothing to ask here, right? You're good to go. Like, you're not gonna they're not gonna be like, oh no, this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, whatever is the case. This is a reliable test case. Now they might ask you to move some code in places where it can be reused, if it's a reusable code. That part we'll get to. That's where we're gonna need programming. But for this time, you can still write test automation without any problem. So we're gonna learn some programming, concept and basics that would allow us to be even more efficient with our test automation. Okay. With that said, we just want to see if this test runs. I'm gonna go ahead and click on my upper two. Okay, there we go. npx playwright tests dash-ui, which will go ahead and give me a portal where I can see all my tests that I wrote. So you can see there is a test case as contact as, And then it says verify something. So I'm going to go ahead and click on run it just to make sure it works. It goes through each thing. So let's see if it fails or not fails, whatever is the case. So let's see, it may even fail. Oh, never mind, it passed. Now you can actually go through each step and see what happened. It gives you markers so you can see right here. This could be an evidence also if your manager requires you to give them a video of what you did. You can actually take that out of as a screen video and send it to him of your test cases. So this is your second test case. I want to know who here cannot write a test after this. So everybody's good to go. Everybody is able to write a test. Good. Because you're not going to be writing one test for homework. This is a boot camp. You're not going to be writing one test and coming back and calling it a day.
Jarvis, so I have a question here. So, I mean, I can write the test, but I'm kind of lost on the left side. Can you just minimize this screen? Then I can point it out on the.
Okay, right here. This or
so
that?
Yeah,
this?
The left side. No, the top screen.
Okay, right here.
So left side. These are all the YOLO symbols. These are all the folders that you have created. I mean, can you just explain us like the left side how like we can create this? Like I can see the README folder from the beginning.
Okay, so in the beginning, the first when we first started with automation, we talked about the only thing we should be installing and downloading is Node.js and VS Code. Everything else is automatic, right? Everything came automatic with a command. So all of these things came the moment you enter this, this command. Okay. This command gave you this structure. Okay. So like if you look into this document, you're going to be able to guide yourself to at least be able to run the test. Okay. And once you run the test, that brings up for the HTML report. I think that concludes most of our items for the day. But let's see how we can do HTML report, right? Let's go. I'm kind of curious because I use different, like you're able to use different kind of reports. This is the report that I've never used. I want to also see it. So where's the report? Let's see. So it doesn't have the command here, but I'll go back to the, I'll copy this. Next would be show report. I'll go ahead and take it out, control, and then I'm going to paste this, enter. And then it opened up the report for me. I'll go ahead and show you guys. Playwright report. Oh, where is it? Where's the second? Okay, Playwright test report. So as you can see, all of these tests that ran into example, it came out like this where it ran. You see Firefox, WebKit, all three. It ran on all three browsers. That's why it's 6 tests. I was kind of wondering why there is like 6 tests, even though there is only like 2 I see. Now I can see because it just ran it on all browsers. That's why it's 6. You go into the past, you can see all of it. So the great thing is it tells you fail and flaky, meaning it sometimes passes, sometimes fails. So you can actually fix it and address the issue if you have any. But other than that, this is a pretty good report. It gives you the times and everything, so you can actually track the time too. But the biggest part here in the report would be like this. This will help you to make sure your test is really, really dependable. And then pass fail, of course. The manager only cares about this too, so you can actually send out a link. This is right now locally, but you can actually make this a public link for your, for your team, and then you can share that daily basis. Now that we wrote 2 tests and we were able to just follow through again, everything that I did is nothing came from my own head. Everything came from here. I myself read this and followed these steps in order to get to this point. Okay. And we're good to go. Now we're just adding test cases. I mean, we just started, let's say we started our job this morning, and in the afternoon, we wrote this framework, and now we're just adding test cases. We already have 2 test cases. What do you guys think? Is this easier than manual?
I'm also getting
I
stuck on
think
those
so, in
little.
my opinion.
Jewel, I have-
Sorry.
so my question is, does it automatically default to Chrome, or do we have to indicate if we want it on Chrome or Firefox?
You can, there is a config file that
Okay.
you'll see. And in the config file, you can say what to use. For example, projects. Here, if you remove these two, then it will only do Chromium. But in
Oh.
this case, it's running on all three because, you know, you have all three. You can choose what you want. You can say, okay, just use the, you know, and then there is the different version, like device. This is a desktop version. You can say mobile version. You can change it to mobile if you want to. And then there is, like, you see, it's it already gave you the code. All you have to do is uncomment it, like for mobile. If you want iPhone 12, Pixel 5, whatever you want. See all of these stuff right here. Okay, if you want to simulate those, you can actually run it.
Sorry, I'm also getting stuck at those little yellow caution things on the left side. I just can't seem to get them opened. Like, it's just the silliest thing to get stuck on, but I just can't get past it.
As title, and then, okay, I'm just looking at your screenshot. Okay, so did you run the command that right now you're probably, oh, okay, I see you're not seeing the test. It's because, did you name the test properly? That's the first thing you need to see. So right now you can only see example. Oh, okay, you're not saving it. You didn't save your test. So click on file. And then do you see, okay, everybody here, right? The first time when you write your test, it doesn't save automatically. This is one of the things Microsoft, you know, that's how Microsoft works. But anyways, you can change that. You go to the file and make sure you have autosave. So anytime you write tests, it saves it. So in your case, it didn't save because you didn't specifically save it. If you don't have this check right here, that means it will not save unless you explicitly save by clicking the save button. Okay. So what I need you to do right now, click on the autosave, and then I want you to run the command again, remove it, run it again, do Control C, and then run again, and you should be able to see all of your tests.
1 second.
Yeah.
Another.
But it's amazing how you're able to follow through and at the same speed as mine. So this is great.
Another quick question, Jewel. Where can I see the report again?
Yeah, for the report, you have to run another command. So if you go back to the document, you can see right here. So these are some of these initial, you never have to do this again once you do the first, because, you know, that's just a setup. And then once you run your test, you just have to run this.
Okay.
And then this is how the report looks like. This is how you get the UI for you to see visually and run by, you know, interacting with it. This is when you want to update, let's say, Playwright in the next couple of months. Playwright came up with a new you know, thing that helps even better. You just, all you have to do is run this and you're good to go. You don't have to redo anything. If you want to see what version you're in, this is the version. Okay. Now,
I'm
I don't want
sorry.
to go. Yeah,
One
go
more.
ahead.
I did the Control C. It asked me to terminate batch job. I said yes, and then that was it. Nothing else happened. I'm on autosave.
Okay. Okay, no, that's good. So now that you're on autosave, most likely it saved it. So go ahead and execute the command. If you click on up arrow, you should be able to execute these command, the one that we right here to run it. Let's see. So if I click on my up arrow right here, let me just go ahead and do Control C. I want to click on up arrow first time, show report. The second time is this, npx playwright --UI. Open that. And once you open it, you should be able to see all your tests just like what you see here. And then all you got to do is click to run it. And you can actually keep it like this. Look, the other part of a cool thing about this is that you can actually keep this run like this, and you can go and update your test and it will continue to run. So like, for example, the agent center, right? So I'm going to just add a new like maybe a new line just to, you know, just to show that so let's say await page dot, like something, maybe go to Google or something like that, or the same website again, after this save, and then look, it made this red. That means it knows that you made the change, and now you're able to run it. So you can actually leave this open when you're making active changes and run it to make sure your test passes, and if it does, then you move forward. So you're able to make changes while you're running your test, which is one of the other way to make your writing the test faster. Okay, so
I'm getting
now
error.
what is the error?
I just sent you a screenshot on chat.
Let's see. Okay,
I guess
guys,
like every
make
time.
sure, yeah, make sure you guys ask questions right now, because the homework, if you can't do the homework, then it's kind of like you didn't really put your mind to it. So where is the screenshot? Sorry, I'm trying to look for your screenshot.
It's in the Zoom chat.
Oh, Zoom chat. Okay.
Like when I go to create a new file, it's just asking me for like a README. It's not really giving me an opportunity to do the .spec.js, where I could insert my codes and run it.
Yeah. So 1 second. So npx show report, you ran it. Okay. So you're not into the right file, right? I mean, so what's on the left side, like I just see that. You might not be in the right, QA is the folder where you created your test, like the new folder, or is there any other folder inside of QA?
That was my old folder.
Okay, so you got to be in the right folder.
Here. That's what I have.
Let me just go back. All right, let's see. Oh, I just pulled up the screenshot of it there for no reason. 1 second. Okay, so that's what you have. Notice that your test is inside of QA folder. Okay, I get that. And then you have so many other things going on here. Like you really pretty much mixed up other projects with your new projects, which is still going to work because it's not as bad as Java and Maven and things like that. But the problem here, now I gotta see why this is. Oh, there you go. It explains. Can you spell the Playwright correctly? That's why I copy paste. The commands are always copy paste, don't type it. There's few things that you want to copy paste. For example, URL, you should never type it. Commands, you should never type it. If you have it, copy paste it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Is it working? I would say later when you have a time, create a new folder and do this over, because I just feel like this is gonna bite you in the back at some point. There's too many things going on.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody
thank you.
else with the problem? I mean, it's great that you're able to do it. Who else was able
I
to?
share in the chat. I lost. I opened a new folder, but it's matched with my old folder. Can you check it once?
Okay, so then, okay, so you got to learn underscore automation, and then you decided to type npm install. So this is something that you are doing it right now, right? Just as we speak. So first of all, you type node. That's just to see it, right? And you have to do Control C to get out of it. Okay. Before you can type this, okay? Before you can type this command, you have to get out of it, right? So the moment you said node, you are already inside of like, node is expecting for you to type node related commands only, nothing else. Okay. And so you got to basically get out of it. NPM is not going to work inside because Node is already, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so get out of it. Control C. You see this error signs. You shouldn't see them basically, and then execute this. And you're okay. You're already inside of Learn Automation, so that's fine. So when you're out and you follow when you do the command, you should be good to go. At that moment, you should be like within the next 2 minutes, you should be able to run your test.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? So remember 10 test cases, which is going to be on Thursday due. So that's why I'm just here trying to make sure everybody get what they need.
Is it required to do like the full end to end, or can we just stop at like page 1 like you did?
So in my case, page 1, but if you can justify a test case, I'm not looking for it, right? If you're saying like, let's say somehow you're validating a login and you're just entering wrong username and wrong password to make sure that customer cannot log in with that information, and you're validating what they see, what the user sees basically, then that's a good test case to me, right? But don't choose easy stuff. I'm gonna probably ask you guys to choose the different website instead of a single website. So not everybody should be working on the same website.
Jewel, do we have to choose the website, or are you gonna give us like example of a
You can
website?
double check with me, because sometimes what people do is that they choose a website because they want to do something cool, but then they end up choosing the hardest one and they can't even finish, right? So we don't want to do that, right? Because there are some websites where the developers purposely made it so that way nobody can use automation in their websites, right? And they don't want to do that. That's done by purpose, right? So when you try to go and automate a website that is completely, made it so you cannot automate, that's going to have a lot of issues, and you're going to end up spending a lot of time. I estimate if you write 10 automation test cases, I estimate like literally 2 hours, but I'm gonna expect you guys to spend at least 6 to 8 hours, because this is the first step. This is like literally the first step into your test automation. Now, if you ask me a question like, can I do an actual job with this kind of knowledge, like just this knowledge? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But then the thing is, when you are at the job and you're writing test cases every single day, you come across so many issues and you end up learning from those issues. So the same idea here, where moving forward, we're going to be using this framework, and every time you meet me, I'm gonna teach you something new. But then the practice needs to be done. You guys need to come back with the test cases and show me your test cases. Basically, you will have to either record the test case running and then post it, or you would do it in the class. So I still need to see what the approach that I'm gonna follow, because in the class would be better probably, but also it's gonna be time consuming, meaning you are killing my time. Where I can spend some time going over new things. So we're gonna see what works out for us, because every group is different. And like I said, everybody has to be very, very hands-on, and starting from today, just be hands-on. So trust me, you'll enjoy and I'll enjoy. But the moment you're not hands-on on the third class, you're gonna come back to me and you're gonna say, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm leaving. I don't even have to say anything. I'm saying that, I'll probably send you invite only for the next sessions, but trust me, you will probably come back to me and say, look, I don't want it. It's just too much because you didn't pay attention on the first class or second class, right? But what I'm teaching you guys is like, future, right? This is the future of automation. I don't think anybody's training yet within the within the coaching, like online people are training for sure, but not like this. Not like this. The approach that I'm taking is to make sure that first I remove the fear, second I make you more confident, and third you go more technical. And you become technical every time you see come in here in the class. Okay, instead of you become technical from the, you start learning coding and then getting bored and leaving the class, right? So that's the whole intention. With that said, homework is going to be given, and I need all of you guys to make sure that you're focusing. I'm going to track the homework. Obviously, you guys saw and you guys may think like, oh, maybe he's not going to track the homework. Maybe, he's just busy. He's not going to have time. But I don't have to have time. It's all done automatically, right? You have, nowadays, everything is auto. You can see everything that you guys did, the questions. I can actually see who wrote what response, and I have an Excel sheet that I can literally put it in ChatGPT. So everything goes into Excel sheet from here. And I can ask ChatGPT to grade it for me, And I know some of you guys use ChatGPT, but I know if you look at the feedback that I gave you on the homework grading, you'll realize that I know who used ChatGPT and didn't even do 1% of the work. Because like, for example, right here, this person right here, not even like changing formats, right? And just answered it this way. So it just shows that you just want to get it done, not care about what you did. I asked you guys to use the ChatGPT, but you have to come up with your own, like you have to basically understand it. So now, like, for example, we got these test cases, we got the 10 test cases, it's good, still good, because this is this came from ChatGPT. And so as you can see, we can actually now automate this if we want to. We have a website or whatever is the case, we can now automate it using our automated test. Not everything has to be full end-to-end. So let's just practice for a second, right? So for example, again, this is the insurance website. You know what? I talk about JetBlue. Let's go to JetBlue. Just to give you guys an idea in terms of like how you're going to create your test case. I need 10 test case to be automated for the next class. And how are you going to do this, right? The first thing first, you don't come up with like really like, test case that are so basic that makes no sense. Like it's just basic, like, oh, I go to the JetBlue website and I check if the link works. That's it. That's right. That's like unnecessary work, right? That's like, okay, so it has no purpose. You need to make sure that with automation, we combine a lot of verifications to make sure that one go we are able to verify a lot, right? So, so for example, the first test case here, let's say we're focusing mainly on this, like your feature, maybe the developer worked on the flight search feature only, okay? Not these two, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, not those. We are only focusing on flight, okay? The first scenario, okay, guys, let's talk about scenarios here. Each of you guys start giving me scenarios. Think about it, give me a scenario. What do you think the first customer may do?
Verify the drop-down button on the round trip should work.
No, that you will verify for sure. Like, because when you're automating, you have to select one of these, right? And then you have to move on. So it will be part of the verification. I'm saying, what is the scenario here that you want to automate? And you're dealing with flight module or the flight feature.
User can able to search for a flight.
So that's a positive test case, but then you're not being specific. Search for a flight means a lot of things. Is it round trip? Is it one user, one adult? Is it child? Is it infant? Is it which city from and to, departing date, returning date? Do they have points? And then search, right? So come on, guys, a little bit, that's what I said. The real tester needs to have a lot of critical thinking. You can't just become a tester just because you know how to automate a few lines. That's not going to help you in the long run. So now, because like you have to add values to your team. If like developers can already test it, but what can you do better? You can actually go and find their faults and issues and bugs, because you can do just more than just go and look into the feature. So now let's say the first scenario could be a customer is choosing a round trip, and for 2 adults, for example, and then they're going from, let's say, New York to Miami, all right? And then you choose the week, a date, right? You can choose like a valid date, which is maybe like from next week, right? Or something, right? And return should be within a week. And then you click on search flight, okay? The next scenario is gonna be the exact same feature, but then we're gonna use the TrueBlue points. Okay, so the verification will be more for the TrueBlue, but we want to do everything else, valid information. So you just enter all the valid information, but then you choose TrueBlue to make sure the point is used. And then obviously clicking on search flight, it should show you departure and return. Okay, then you get another scenarios where you click on one way and you should see only one. The verification should be like, okay, you're choosing your, a valid from and to, but then departure should have only, and there should not be a arrival. Sorry, is it arrival? Let me see.
Return.
Yeah, return. Yeah, there should not be a return for this, right? And then you click on search, and then you verify that the flight only showed up for one way. Okay, not 2 ways. Third one, multi-city. So right now you're focusing more on this part to make sure that everything works, okay? And you also entering valid information for everything else. The next one you can focus is that adults. How many adults? You can say 1 of each and see if it works. And then you can say 2 of each if it works. And then you can see maximum, how many adults can buy. Like imagine like a plane has only 40 seats, it's a small plane, and you're buying 300, tickets or whatever is the case. That's not gonna be good, right? Imagine like it says children under 14. Let's say you got like somebody's coming up with like 20 children, what is the maximum that you have to test? So all the maximum information are right here, but you'll get this information from your developer or from your VA. So that way you can verify, and that will be part of your test. Whenever you test like things like maximum, minimum, and things like that, that'll be a test itself, because you don't want to combine with too many other things, right? You want to make sure that you're directly testing what you need to test and moving on to the next one. So I would say, definitely focus on your manual testing skills, come up with the really, really good test cases. You can choose, somebody can get JetBlue for your homework, because it doesn't require login. 1 second.
Will
It
you
doesn't require login, so you should be able to like go ahead and search, but then I don't know how long they will, if you're doing it repeatedly, they might just ban your IP for like 5 minutes, because they don't want that. But you can choose other websites too, something that is public, something that is like everybody goes into, or you can choose like demo websites, like demo flight website, for example, right? So ferry, whatever, demo flight specific. Okay, no, not this. Maybe reservation. Dummy ticket original. Okay, so you can choose some dummy websites, and then like kind of like test it. But feel free to choose whatever website you think that you want to automate. As long as you don't have to log in, you're fine. But if you are automating login steps because you want to validate that, that's fine. You can still write 10 negative test cases on login, right? Positive one you can probably skip, or if you have a user information, you can use that 1 for positive and 9 for negative test case. You can go back to your homework and you can see what you did for your test scenarios, and then automate it. Now, one thing that I'm mentioning here is that, remember, test scenario, and I'm not even talking about test case, because you're writing the test scenario and you're going directly to test script. You're an automation engineer. You don't have to write manual test case. That will be double the work. Okay, that's one of the good things about being an automation engineer. So you're just, writing your test scenarios and you list them, so that way at least let me see some of your work. Actually, some of you guys that did the work. Just DLC. scenarios. There you go. So somebody wrote at least that's 10 scenario for ring doorbell, for example, right here. Let's see for the login feature. So this is somebody, okay, this is ChatGPT answer right here. 10 scenarios for login. So as you can see, verify user can successfully log in with a valid user and user credentials, right? So that's your one test case. Then you have another one, right? The idea of manual test cases and manual testing should come as we are learning automation. I'm not focusing specifically right now, but I'm also not letting it go, right? So we're gonna basically go, talk about it again and again and again. It's because that is, more important than automation. But today, how many here feel confident that you're gonna be able to give me 10 test cases by Thursday? Give me a hand, give me, just talk, it's fine, you can unmute.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel confident.
Yep.
Okay. Who cannot? Anybody here that think that they cannot give me 10 test cases? Automated though, right? I'm not looking for like you writing an Excel sheet or anything. You're not gonna have to do that because you're an automation engineer now. So everybody here can, but I would say one thing, if you reach out to somebody, let's say you can't, you're that person somehow, it didn't ring a bell. You can go ahead and ask somebody for help, but you have to make sure you watch the video and then try. I want you to try yourself before asking somebody for one reason, is that if you don't find out on your own and not able to move forward with this level of, details and this level of documentations that literally gives you every single steps, then you have to talk to me, because this is, then we have to think about maybe you need more help, right? From my side. Trust me, like just don't reach out to anybody. Just don't reach out to anybody. Look at the video and look at the document and try first time, and it's not working, not a problem. Try the second time, it's not working, not a problem. Try the third time, it's not working. But then I would say continue trying until it works, until you have the test cases, okay? And then if you have at least the information on that you tried and didn't work, it's still fine. I'll take that as the homework. But I will not take somebody else's work as your homework, okay? So just make sure you do that. The second, what else do I think I wanted to say? Yeah, so when you choose, again, like when you choose the website, it's super important to make sure that, the test cases are easier. This could be, I'm gonna share the video as soon as I can. But I would say if you just follow this website for now, for installation, you should be at least people to get it going and running. If you didn't spend 6 hours bare minimum, like somehow you spent 2 hours and you did 10 test cases and you're very comfortable, you can back up in your head, you can basically go ahead and write those test cases, then you're fine. But if you just struggled and you wrote 10 test cases and in your mind, you have a fog, meaning you don't know what you did, but you have a 10 test cases, then that means you're not good looking, right? You need to go back and start over and do it again. The whole purpose here, guys, like I'm not even trying to say I need 10 test cases and I'm done. The whole purpose is that at least you're comfortable with this part, of the automation, so we can move forward to the next. There's a lot more for you to learn and see. The only way you'll learn those if you get past the first step. And this is your first step. Don't mess it up, I'm telling you, because you yourself is gonna give up. The moment you get lost, it's not gonna work out, trust me. And nobody's teaching this. Even if you go online, you buy an Udemy course, they're not gonna teach it this way. This is gonna change your career if you're working. And if you're not working, this is still gonna change your life, because the hiring rate for this tool is more than any other at this moment, because everybody's moving toward this. Everybody's moving toward this tool. Okay. So let's yeah, like I said, everybody's good. Do not reach out try to do it on your own because you're an engineer from now on, from this very day. And if that is the case, you can't just, you got to figure things out. You have to tell yourself constantly that you should be able to figuring it out first, not somebody else, not somebody like, oh yeah, do this. It makes no difference. If you didn't struggle and did it yourself, then you didn't learn and somebody else took the credit. Somebody else actually took your learning. And we don't want to do that. So everybody here do that. And then, next class, if you don't have the test cases, you better let me know. And the homework is going to be due on the before 5 p.m. on the same day, Thursday, so I can actually look into and grade them. And if you don't have the homework and you don't have an explanation, you're not going to get the invite. Like I said, I'm trying to make sure that smaller group is better, honestly, but I want to make sure that people that are here have a purpose, and not just here because they they don't have that 6 hours. Like if I have the 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever is the case for you guys per week, you should have the same. And that's the only way it's fair. So let's just do it this way, and I'll see you guys next class. Video is going to be helpful, and I don't, I have a high hope because some of you guys already did it. So it's just a matter of practicing. If you fail, your test's not working, go back to the video, and the more you struggle, again, I cannot even say it enough. The more you struggle, the better you'll be. Okay.
Jewel, one question though. How are we gonna send you the test cases?
When you run it, right, on the UI, you record that screen, right? That's one way you can give it to me. The other one, like that's before the next class. The next class, I'm going to show you how you can deliver the actual work, like how you're at work, meaning you're going to be pulling and pushing code to GitHub. You're going to be creating requests. So that I'm going to show you guys next class. But for now, you guys can start sharing videos. You're done, just post a video and the group, so that way not only me, somebody else can see it, and they know that they're behind and you're done, right?
Okay. Are we gonna be like showcasing it in the class too, or no?
So the idea is that I don't want to like spend too much time in the class where I cannot focus on new topics. If you basically share your videos, and depending on how soon, like let's say you're sharing a video 5 p.m. exactly on the dot, that means you rushed it. So I'm going to probably ask you questions. I want to see, what you know about it, can run it or not. That means like you didn't do anything the last 2 days and you only rushed it on the last minute. So spend whatever you can daily basis, the time wise, and try to spend time, because again, like it's only 3 months and it's going to change your life. So you just better try it. You got to be technical, so nobody can stop you at work, right? So just make sure you spend the time. That's it. The more time you spend, the better it'll be. And it's only like in the beginning though, like within the first maybe 3 to 4 class, if you spend so much time, you may not even need to spend that much of a time at the end, because it's going to be just simply repeating a lot of these to get you more comfortable. All right. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.